DocTalk is brought to you by Multimin USA, manufacturers of Multimin 90, sure trace mineral supplementation by timed injection.
Hey there folks, welcome to DocTalk. We're sure glad you joined us. I'm Dr. Dan Thompson and I'm going to be joined by Dr. Casey Olson, who's a ruminant nutritionist over in our animal science department. And we're going to talk about Sericea lespedeza and the control of it in our pastures. Thanks for joining us today.
Jason Lewis. I work here on Division Ranch, north of Strong City, Kansas. We run 500 head of mama cows. We started using Multimin about a year ago. We didn't have any problem with health that year. Didn't have to doctor near as many in that pasture. Just the overall appearance was a lot better. And I liked it so well, we'll start using it on everything.
Closed caption brought to you by AgriLabs, the perfect pairing of performance and value.
This segment is brought to you by Rotomix, manufactured in the USA and designed for feeding performance in the feedlots, beef production, dairy, and cow-calf operations. Welcome to the show.
Always a pleasure, Dan.
Folks, this is Dr. Casey Olson, who's a professor here at Kansas State University. And he's a ruminant nutritionist and does a lot of work out in the field. He manages our cow-calf units, so it's one of the, you're looking at what? How many head of cattle that y'all manage?
Well, in a non-dry year, we try to shoot for about 450 cows and heifers. But we're like everybody else. The drought has hit us hard over the last 24 months. We're down to about 350.
It's a big operation, and managing this kind of operation is something that, Casey always has his boots on the ground and is practicing what he preaches when he's talking to us or teaching or his research, and we're very thankful for the things that you do, not only here at K-State, but what you're doing on a state and national level when it comes to drought and control. But today, we're going to talk about a new effort that y'all are embarking upon or have been embarking.
I'm excited about it.
Well, and you should be. It's the control of noxious weeds, and it's one I'm trying hard to be able to pronounce. Sericea lespedeza.
Sericea lespedeza is the name. Now, that plant is actually cultivated in the southeastern United States, and as such, we've had a lot of trouble getting the United States government very excited about funding research to treat it as a noxious weed. It first came to Kansas as a contaminant in things like CRP seed and soil bank seed. And it turns out that Sericea lespedeza really likes it here. The part about Sericea that's unmanageable, okay, it's got three ways that it can occupy space in native prairie. First of all, it's a prolific seed producer. One plant can produce as many as 30,000 seeds in a year. It's a very robust looking plant. It's got a huge canopy structure, so it tends to have a shading effect on plants that grow in its understory. And to top it all off, it has allelopathic properties. And that means that the plant actually secretes chemicals out of its roots that prevent germination of native seed and prevent normal growth of our native forage grasses.
So it gives you a bare patch then.
A bare patch that it soon fills up.
Yep.
Yeah, Mother Nature abhors a vacuum.
I'll be. So what does this plant, what's it look like? I mean,
Well, it looks a little bit like an alfalfa plant on steroids. Okay, it's very large, but it has many fine leaves like alfalfa does. Produces a yellow to white to purple flower. And it's very hard to miss it if you've got an infestation level growth in one of your native pastures.
Most of the issue with this is choking out the other and occupying, or is it something that's toxic?
Well, it actually does have mild toxic properties. It contains a compound called condensed tannin that, whether it's eaten by an animal or it remains in the plant, it binds protein. Okay, and when an animal ingests the plant, very quickly the rumen can become devoid of available nitrogen. Ruminal fermentation stops.
Cool. When we come back, we're going to talk about control of Sericea lespedeza with Dr. Casey Olson. Thanks for joining us.
This segment was brought to you by Brute Cattle Equipment, makers of the Brute Stealth Hydraulic Chute. If the chute fits, swear by it. Visit our website for more information.
You know just how costly BRD can be, but did you know that bacteria like Mannheimia and Pasteurella can cause BRD? That's why veterinarians and cattle raisers focus on preventing pasteurellosis with a quality vaccine like Pulmogard PHM1. It's ready to use, highly syringeable, and provides comprehensive protection with a single dose. For pasteurellosis protection that's truly the head of the class, ask your veterinarian about Pulmogard PHM1.
This hog is head over hoof for meal made from U.S. soybeans. Now, one hog isn't that impressive, but suppose we add another, and another, and another. Before long, you've got billions of hungry customers around the world all clamoring for the same thing. Our soybeans. Learn more about the billion-dollar appetite of animal agriculture at BeyondTheElevator.com. Brought to you by America's soybean farmers and their checkoff.
Hi there, I'm Dr. Dan Thompson from DocTalk, and I'm excited to team up with Vance Publishing to honor some of the youngest and brightest professionals in agriculture today. And you can help us by nominating someone you may know. If you know somebody under the age of 40 that excels in animal production or food animal agriculture, food safety, transportation, or others, you can go to DocTalkTV.com and nominate someone for this award. Help us honor those who help us feed the world for generations to come, and I'll see you down the road.
Valley Vet Supply is devoted to providing information and professional quality products at reasonable prices.
Valley Vet Supply.
This segment is brought to you by Norbrook Laboratories, manufacturers of Normycin LA, Normectin Plus, 1%, and Poron, the practical choice for your herd.
Hi there, folks, and welcome back to Doc Talk. Dr. Dan Thompson here with Dr. Casey Olson, who's a friend and colleague from the Department of Animal Sciences here at Kansas State University, and we're talking about control of Sericea lespedeza. And as we learned, it's a noxious plant that we don't want to have, and so why don't we just spray it?
Well, been doing that for about 30 years. Chemical control has been attempted since it first went on the noxious weed list here in Kansas. And at best, we've only achieved stalemate with chemical control. You heard me talking earlier about the robust physical structure of the plant. Well, the tall grass prairie in a healthy state also has a very robust physical structure. When you put chemical over the top of that canopy, it's very unlikely that the chemical will actually filter down to the ground level and kill seedlings. The other problem with spraying noxious weeds in the Flint Hills is that you will have noticed this is a very rough and rocky place. Okay, not a place you want to take a tractor and a spray rig that might cost you several $100,000.
Yeah. So chemicals are, they say stalemate. So we don't gain, we don't lose, but really we're trying to get these pastures back, and so some of the things that you've been looking at beyond chemicals, which really resonates well with where we're trying to go with environmental stewardship anyway, is some of the biological controls.
Agreed. And I've got to tip my hat to my colleagues in this area. Biological controls for Sericea lespedeza have been attempted probably for the last 2 decades with little success. Small ruminants, for example, sheep and goats, are more tannin tolerant than beef cattle are. And experimentally, it's been determined that very high stocking rates with sheep and goats will quickly diminish seed production and stand robustness of Sericea lespedeza. The difficulty with that approach is that culturally we are a beef cattle state, we're a beef cattle region, so that's problem number one. Problem number two, the infestation in Kansas alone is so large that it would take more goats, for example, than we have in the U.S. to stock our Flint Hills pastures
Just
to
in Kansas.
eradicate the plant. Now, as with all noxious weeds that use seed production as their survival strategy, if you put grazing pressure on that plant at the right time, you greatly impair its capability to produce seed. What Sericea has working in its favor is tannin, condensed tannin. Right before that plant flowers and produces seed, it just loads itself up with condensed tannins. Very
So it's kind of
well designed.
Yeah. So then it's even though that's the perfect time to get the animals on it, it's to prevent the seeds, it's a bad time because we have such high levels of tannin.
That's right.
Well, it's a big problem. It's something that when we come back, we'll talk about some of your research with cattle and some of the things, the new approaches that y'all are taking to help us rid ourselves of this noxious weed in our natural prairie and grasslands. Glad you're here.
I'm excited to tell the story. Thank you, Dan.
Well, folks, thanks for watching Doc Talk. More with Dr. Casey Olson here in a minute.
Beef producers need a practical choice when antibiotic therapy is required. More than ever, they are reaching for non-prescription Noromycin 300 LA from Norbrook, specially formulated to produce sustained antibiotic blood levels up to 4 days in cattle. Noromycin 300 LA delivers economic, broad-spectrum disease management for pneumonia, shipping fever, pink eye, wound infections, and foot rot. See for yourself why Norbrook's Noromycin 300 LA is the practical choice for your herd.
Dr. Dan here. Whether I'm driving up and down the roads covering the state of Kansas or I'm getting between Riley and Manhattan for my job, I'm driving a Ford truck. I'd like you to come out and visit my friends here at Dick Edwards Ford. They have a truck that'll suit your needs, whether you're looking for power with a Power Stroke diesel or if you're looking for fuel efficiency with the new EcoBoost engine, they got a truck that's just right for you. They're located 2 miles east of the Town Center Mall in Manhattan, Kansas, and they'll bend over backwards to help you. And I'll see you down the road.
Hi, I'm Kevin Ochsner, host of NCBA's Cattleman to Cattleman and Colorado Rancher. Join me each week as the National Cattlemen's Beef Association brings you the latest updates in industry information and market news. Plus, each week we provide important educational information and features on cattlemen from across the country just like you. And we can't forget our favorite cowboy poet, Baxter Black. Join me for NCBA's Cattleman to Cattleman, debuting Tuesday nights at 8:30 Eastern, right here on RFD TV.
I give Multi-Min 90 every 120 days. The reason I give it every 120 days is because it seems to keep those cattle fresher. But you can notice a great difference in those cattle from the first day you give it to the last day you give it. When I run them through the chute and I give them a shot of that Multi-Min 90, I know exactly what I'm giving them. It's just more economical as a whole on the bucking bull side of the business. The simplicity of Multi-Min 90 is, just like I said, I know what I'm giving them and when I give it to them.
This segment is brought to you by Lalaman Animal Nutrition, dedicated to the development and production of natural and differential solutions for animal nutrition.
Folks, welcome back to Doc Talk. We're glad you joined us. Dr. Casey Olson here, who's a friend and colleague from the Department of Animal Science, who's a full professor at Kansas State University, does research, teaches, and manages a very large cow-calf operation here in the Flint Hills of Kansas. And he's embarking upon some incredible research to rid our prairies of Sericea lespedeza. And really, we want to know more about what you're doing and what you're proposing.
I'll do my best. And I got to call shenanigans a little bit, Dan, because eradication of any noxious weed, particularly this one, is an impossibility.
So control?
What we're after is naturalization. If we can get that plant to behave as any other plant on the prairie, we can learn to live with it, and we can actually make a valuable forage plant out of it. I likened it to alfalfa earlier. The chemical quality of Sericea lespedeza is very much like alfalfa. The only thing that's going against it, again, is that tannin problem. We had the idea several years ago that if there was a way to desensitize a beef calf or a beef cow to the effects of tannin, we could achieve that state of naturalization. Wow.
Well, so it's kind of like taking that wild colt or taking that, only in a plant form, and we're going to figure out a way that we can,
that's right,
make it into a productive citizen and something that we can use. So what are some of the things that y'all are going to try with your research?
Well, one thing let me start at the beginning. The way that we began this line of search is we began looking for compounds that the FDA generally regarded as safe, that had tannin binding properties. Okay, that we could either feed to the animal or we could put on the plant that would prevent these tannins from interacting with dietary protein. We found a half a dozen that were on our short list, and we evaluated the most likely candidate. Corn steep liquor, folks, is a byproduct of corn sweetener production. It is abundant, it's safe, and it is relatively inexpensive. We found that when feeding between 2 pounds and 6 pounds of corn steep liquor, that we could mask or eliminate the negative effects of Sericea lespedeza consumption to cattle fed in confinement. Now, those last 2 words are the operative phrase there. What works in confinement doesn't necessarily work in a commercial scale grazing system.
Right. Big differences there. So, any other compounds or that you know, is this going to be easy to move back and forth, the corn steep liquor?
Unfortunately, it's not easy to move. It's a high moisture compound. It's very bulky, and you need special capabilities to handle it. But on the expense side of the ledger, it looks very, very favorable.
Cool.
I'm looking forward to telling you what it did for us out on the prairie this summer.
Well, cool. Well, then let's take a break. Folks, Dr. Casey Olson, professor here at Kansas State University. When we come back from the break, we're going to learn more about control of Sericea lespedeza. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you here in a minute.
This segment is brought to you by Purple Wave Auction, the easiest, most straightforward way to sell used equipment. Purple Wave, straight, simple, sold.
This is Agriculture Today from Kansas State University. The brown recluse spider remains one of the more undesirable insects that homeowners encounter inside their dwellings. Currently, K-State researchers are busy testing the practicality and effectiveness of new control treatments against this pest. Here's K-State entomologist Jeff Whitworth.
We're looking at 2 different substrates. We treat the carpet, we treat the tile, we release brown recluse spiders, come in contact with this insecticide for about 15 seconds. We monitor them 24 hours to see if the insecticide's going to work. Then we go back and monitor it 48 hours, then we go back 96 hours to see if there's any residual activities.
This is K-State Research and Extension.
Cow-calf, stocker, and feedlot producers know that effective parasite control improves overall herd performance and profitability. Norbrook offers a comprehensive, economical line of pour-on and injectable parasiticides for every livestock operation. Consult with your local animal health supplier to set up a program that protects your investment and brings larger cattle checks this fall. See for yourself why the Noromectin line from Norbrook is the practical choice for your herd.
The Kansas State University College of Veterinary Medicine is a leader in food animal research and education. Our researchers are constantly expanding the knowledge of animal health and food safety. Through the Veterinary Health Center and the Kansas State Veterinary Diagnostic Lab, we provide practical services for animal producers. Home of the Beef Cattle Institute, the college is committed to animal welfare training and research. The Kansas State University College of Veterinary Medicine, knowledge and service for the future of animal production.
Got cattle? Rotomix manufactures a complete line of energy-efficient rotary and vertical feed mixers for feedlots, beef production, dairy, and cow-calf operations. Our mixers are available with the patented Generation 2 staggered rotor, the industry standard for feeding wet rations that include wet distiller's grain. Made in the USA, Rotomix mixers are designed for feeding performance that American cattlemen and dairy producers have come to expect. Rotomix, proud to offer a better mix in less time using less fuel.
This segment is brought to you by the Beef Quality Assurance Program and the Kansas Beef Council, improving animal care and beef safety for more than 20 years.
Hi there, folks, and welcome back to DocTalk. I'm Dr. Dan Thompson, joined by Dr. Casey Olson, who's a professor and ruminant nutritionist in the Animal Science and Industries Department here at Kansas State University. And he's well sought after as a speaker on a national and international level, and we're lucky to have him here today. And today, Casey, you're talking about your new research program and looking at the control of Sericea lespedeza in our pastures.
Yes, sir. Now, in the last segment, we talked briefly about finding a particular compound that would negate the bad effects of tannin on beef cattle. We evaluated it extensively for cattle that were fed in a pen, eating out of a bunk. But when a cow or a beef calf has the opportunity to select a forage species while grazing here in the Flint Hills, he's got 600 choices.
Right.
He's got 600 choices. So why would a calf select a plant that has negative effects, okay, on on its digestive process if it had an alternative. Well, we took our mitigator, that's what we call it. We took our mitigator corn steep liquor to the prairie 2 summers ago. We fed it in a commercial scale grazing system where we compared unsupplemented pastures with supplemented pastures. We had a very small budget, okay, so we made things work in a way that we thought any producer could use. We basically carried the steep liquor out to our beef cows 3 days a week. We fed it at a rate of about 1.2 pounds per day on average. And here's what happened, folks. When the condensed tannin concentration of steep liquor was low in June and July, there was no effect of the supplement. Okay, but when that plant gets ready to flower and set seed, its tannin concentration goes through the roof. And in July, August, and September, there was about a 50% increase in Sericea lespedeza intake by those supplemented cattle.
Wow.
Okay, and at the end of the season, in October, okay, after the plant had run its cycle for the year, tannin concentrations returned to normal, the effect was gone again. So we now have what I believe is a viable solution to use beef cattle as a biological control for this plant in a low-cost manner. I say low cost, and I better back that up. Right now, chemical control of Sericea lespedeza costs between $18 and $26 per acre. Okay, control of Sericea lespedeza through defoliation with beef cattle costs about $7 an acre.
And it's, you know, again, it's one of those sustainability efforts, yes, that you're naturalizing. It's incredible.
We think we're doing okay.
Well, I appreciate all that you're doing and really enjoy watching your research program.
Thank you, Dan. Thank you very much.
Thanks for being here today.
Glad to be here.
And thanks for watching DocTalk. If you want to know more about what Dr. Olson and I do here at Kansas State University, you can find us on the web at www.vet.ksu.edu. Also remember, we always recommend that you work with your local practitioner or veterinarian. We appreciate you watching DocTalk today. I'm Dr. Dan Thompson, here from the College of Veterinary Medicine at Kansas State University, and I'll see you down the road.
Closed caption brought to you by AgriLabs, the perfect pairing of performance and value.
DocTalk, produced in cooperation with Drovers Cattle Network and Bovine Veterinarian. For more information about this program or previous programs, go to DocTalkTV.com. DocTalk was brought to you by Multimin USA, manufacturers of Multimin 90, sure trace mineral supplementation by timed injection.
Mike Davis, owner-operator of the Cooney Ranch, Southeast Oregon. We're running right at 700 head of mother cows. We've been using Multimin for about 5 years now. Here at the Cooney, we're selenium deficient, manganese, copper. I know those are 3 of the big ones that we are short on. And with the Multimin, I believe that it's helping to up that response. We all do a mineral pack. When we first put it out, they'll eat a lot of it, and as they get it built up in their system, they'll back off of it. The Multimin probably gives them an extra boost to get those other trace minerals going. We give the calves a shot of Multimin at branding, and then the calves will be followed up with another dose of Multimin in the fall when we wean. And then in the spring, before we turn out, we'll give the calves another shot. We give all the cows once a year, we give them a shot of Multimin when we process in the fall. The bulls, we process them in the fall too, and give them a dose of Multimin then. We try and get the bulls in again before we turn them out with the cows, and just give them a dose then, hoping to get a little better preg rate, efficiency out of the bulls. With our replacement heifers, because I'm trying to keep around 100 to 125 replacement heifers. So we'll give them a dose of Multimin before we turn the bulls in with them. Last year we were right at a 98% breed up. It could be a lot due to the Multimin. With Multimin use, everything's been better. Ease of calving, the milk rate, we've been doctoring less and less. Scours, especially, all the cattle are healthier. I feel that Multimin's well worth buying. I believe we're getting what we need back out of it.